Hey, everybody. Thank you all for joining us for this edition of TAASA Talks, the 88th. For those of you who have not seen any of our awesome recordings, what we do, we decided to use another platform just to share information. First and foremost, we wanted to share and demystify the legislative process here in Texas. Again, not only for our purposes, but for your purposes and for the purposes of your community. It's very accessible to be able to manage and to affect and inform some of the changes that happen in our state. So that's priority number one. But priority number two, in no particular order, I guess I should say that, is we wanted to keep you updated on TASA's work and our bills and the things and our priorities, actually your priorities, membership priorities, for this legislative session. So that's the purpose of TASA Talks. And my name is Rose Luna, and I'm the CEO of TASA. And I'd like to allow the rest of the staff, not allow, y'all know what I mean. Everyone else, please introduce yourselves, and then Courtney will get us started on questions.
Hi, y'all. My name is Liz Boyce, and I'm the General Counsel and Director of Policy and Legal here at TASA. Really excited to be doing this work and getting started really quickly here in our legislative session. It's fast and furious already, and I feel like it's already almost March. How did that happen?
Hey everyone, my name is Samantha Pysick. This is my first session with TASA. So, my background is I worked the last 3 sessions in the legislature, but, I'm happy to kind of be on this team now. Excited to do this work.
All right. And my name is Courtney Kawa. I'm the member liaison at TASA. And I am joining today to ask these fine folks questions about what's going on during the legislative session. So to get started, because everyone wants to talk about money. What is happening with the budget?
Dollars. I tell you what, man, those are important. So God, y'all, a lot has happened. I know last YouTube video ago, TASA Talks ago, sorry, I was able to update to say that things were looking really well, and I was kind of vague because we wanted to wait and kind of see how things shook out. It's safe to say now. So we testified. I was able to testify in front of the Senate Finance Committee last week. I don't know if any of you have ever testified, but it is nerve-wracking. Oh my God. I talk all the time, but there is something about having to talk in front of them that is just so jolting and scary. But I was able to get through it. It was a really great, it was a great committee hearing. We saw left and right, just from the left to the right too, politically speaking, how everyone does support not only survivors of sexual assault in Texas, how they support each and every one of you at the rape crisis centers doing this work. That was clear and that was evident in that Senate hearing. So the good news is that the increases that TASA has requested have been included in the base budget. And for those of you that are not familiar, like what does base budget mean? What does that mean? Base budget, that's where you want to be. If you're asking for money from the Texas Ledge, if you're in the base budget, that is just the best possible scenario for your ask. And we are in the base budget in the Senate Finance section of things. So we're very excited about that. The hearing went well. Next, though, we have heard that, so I have to make sure I say this right, that the House committee assignments were released last week. I'm sorry, I'm not real familiar with everything, so I'm learning just along with all of you on this whole process. So House committee assignments were released last week. I do know this. I'm very excited about the chairman, Chairman Bonin. I know that Chairman Bonin is someone who has been very supportive also of our work, of survivors of sexual assault, of crime victims in Texas. So we're very excited to have him leading that charge. So that testimony is going to happen next week. And also, I think it's safe for me to share this, is that we are in their base budget as well. So again, just everything across the board for SAPCS line item that's for those of you that do the sexual assault work through the Office of the Attorney General and are certified in your training, and you have that grant. Things are looking really good for us. And also, I've said this before, I'm from rural Texas. I'm always trying to look out for my folks in rural Texas. That also includes rural pilot projects. So again, we'll keep you posted. Never say never. It's not over, but things are looking damn good. I'm sorry, really good. Excuse me, I was very excited about that. Sorry, I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to give it back to Courtney.
No, that was a wonderful update, Rose. Thank you. So asking the rest of y'all, are there any updates about the Sexual Assault Survivors Task Force policy recommendations?
Yes, we have a few. Those there were a total of 12 policy recommendations that came out of the task force this last year, which is, we're outdoing ourselves. Last session there was 11, and I guess that wasn't enough, so we needed to do one more, make it an even baker's dozen. And so we have condensed those down into 5 distinct policy proposals in the form of drafts. And so we're waiting on a couple of those still to be released from Legislative Council. There's the others are in process right now, and we've been identifying some of the potential authors for those bills. I don't have enough that's firm yet to really give a strong, prediction about who's going to carry each one just yet. We kind of like to wait for them to be filed before we announce. There's a lot of decisions in that process, and certainly we don't want to jump the gun and put the cart before the horse and all those analogies. Fair. So, but yes, we're excited about them. They all are going to be doing great things for forensic exam access, and taking a look at how we train police officers and how we train healthcare providers who work in the ER setting. So these are some really big things and impactful policies that would really, we're really excited about. We really think are going to make a lot of good changes to our system response. So more to announce at the next TAASA Talks, hopefully, on that.
Yay!
But as for our priorities, we can give a little bit more detail. We're super excited that all 3 of our non-funding policy priorities have been filed. They all have bill numbers, and that's huge. It's a huge celebration, awesome. Cause for celebration. And Samantha's going to talk a little bit about our first one today.
Yeah. So, as we discussed previously in the previous TAASA Talks, the prosecutor notification bills filed SB 409 and HB 1739. But, we also have 2 more filed now. So SB 809 is our law enforcement connection card. This bill requires peace officers to connect with victims of sexual assault, human trafficking, related sexual offenses with services, and inform them of their legal rights at the earliest interaction. These peace officers need to notify victims in writing about their crime victims' rights and some community resources they have in both English and Spanish. So, coordinating with the local sexual assault response team. And then the bill also is requiring peace officers to provide victims of sexual offenses with a written referral to the nearest sexual assault program. This information, obtaining a medical forensic exam if they so choose, and also talking about the statewide tracking system, TrackKit. So it's going to be a lot of good information for these survivors, and it will detail their rights and any legal remedies they have. So we've patterned this after legislation that passed that requires law enforcement to provide this to domestic violence victims. So we're working with Paxton's office on this, and we're really excited about getting this going.
Absolutely. And, we have heard so many survivors talk about how they just don't know where to call. They don't know where to go for, the Rape Crisis Center, where to go for an exam, all of these kinds of necessary, vital, really life-saving in many ways, resources. And this is in hopes we're going to connect them with those resources for those who choose to report, which we acknowledge is not the majority. But for those who do choose to come into contact with law enforcement and make a report, that at least from that moment forward, they will get that information right off the bat, and not be confused about who to call next. So yeah, but our very last one, I saw that the number popped up a little early. I'm glad, because I'm excited about this one. So this is SB 819. Senator Perry's office is going to be carrying this one. We're so grateful to that office. They have been huge champions. Senator Perry is one of our longest allies in this fight against sexual violence, and he's carried a lot of bills for us in the past and been very, very successful. So of course we wanted to, approach him with this right off the bat last fall, and happily he agreed to carry it. And I did actually talk a little bit about this bill back in our very first TAASA Talks in November. So if you want a little more detail about it, go back and watch that. But just so you know, the gist is that this bill would provide crime victims with the right to have an attorney in the criminal justice process, much like the military has. They have a special victims lawyer, special victims counsel that covers all the cases that come through that are sexual assault and related crimes. Now, this bill would be actually bigger than just for sexual assault victims. It's anyone who can avail themselves of those rights in the Crime Victims' Rights Act. So it's most any violent crime victim would then be able to have an attorney in the process. Why? Well, to represent their rights, to say, not to change the process, not to be a party, not to, cross-examine the defendant and all those kinds of things, but just simply to advocate for the victim. If the victim needs to have, privacy and confidentiality, they would assert that, and they would make sure that the files are all protected and redacted. They would make sure that to advocate for the victim's right to speak up at the victim impact statement, and make sure that opportunity is offered. And they also help explain to the victim how this process works. There's a lot of confusion about how does the criminal justice process work. They would be there to explain step by step, so that they're not confused and feeling like they're getting lost in the system. And certainly there's times when someone's rights need to be enforced, and that does happen, and they would be there to do that as well, to ask for a legal remedy that they can, be made whole. So that's what this bill does, and we're very excited about it. It's something that would make a huge difference and make Texas a real leader across the nation.
I just want to say real quick that's great to have someone to be able to not only be there to help with the legal jargon, but help you understand that process. So as we continue on, is there anything folks can do right now to get involved?
Couple of things. So we're real excited. This week is our Capitol Day, our Advocacy Day on Thursday, February 16. We're going to meet down at the Capitol on the South Steps. We're going to have a rally. Our fabulous leader, Rose Luna, is going to speak at a press conference there, as well as some survivors of sexual violence, the mother of a victim of sexual violence and homicide, Tracy Matheson. She will speak as well. And it's a real important time to come out and support sexual assault survivors, the movement, and be there in support, wearing your teal or purple if you choose purple. That's the color for domestic violence, and our partners at TCFV will be there as well. So maybe wear a little both. Get a scarf that's got a little purple, a little teal, some kind of a hat, something to show off your colors. That would be great. So we can go down to the Capitol and represent our cause. And then in the afternoon, if you so choose, you can make an appointment ahead of time with your legislators to go in and speak about these issues, talk about how important it is to pass these laws that are good for survivors, how important it is to pass the budget that's going to help our rape crisis centers and our domestic violence shelters. And that's something that will be encouraged that afternoon from 1 to 4. So yes, come to Capitol Day, help us celebrate the movement. And additionally, we do have a listserv, policy@taasa.org. Many of you have joined it. Thank you. And we're starting to get rolling out with some more communications that will be pushing that way. And so if you have any interest in joining, just go to that policy@taasa.org, and we will put you on that list.
Thank you, Liz. And just so y'all know, this is our first Capitol Day in person since 2019?
I think that's right. Well, yeah, no, I guess that's right.
DC.
Yes.
DC before COVID.
So please come see us and come meet your legislators.
Yes. And I wanted to just really quick before we end, just to say that, we're very excited to bring these updates to you. Today is a really great update. I hope that they continue to be positive updates, but you never know. There's just the way that things ebb and flow at the Capitol, but it would not be possible without the unequivocal support of all of your elected officials across the state. Because I have to say, all of them across the political spectrum do care about crime victims in Texas, do care about sexual assault survivors, and do care about those of you who are providing that service. And I think if you are there at the Capitol and you're able to go visit them, they would love to hear stories about on the ground what you all are doing in their districts to make their community safer. And then when you're there, please thank them because they, again, have shown that support. Madam Chair, Senator Huffman of the Senate Finance Committee, we were there at the hearing, and when she said that the rape crisis centers have asked for money, and what they've asked for and the way they've asked for it, we put it in the budget. Like, that is unheard of. And again, just shows that their support. It's not because Rose Luna said to put it in there, or TAASA said, or Shannon, or whoever. It's because they know how important it is. They know that you all are doing great work, and they do care about survivors of sexual assault. And I think also I'm very thankful to the policy team and for TAASA and for Shannon, because we have set up a way that we do business that includes a broad community of support, not just some parts or the other. Anyone who wants to support survivors, we want to work with you. And we do all this by having survivor voice at the center. So just very thankful. Again, I wanted, when you go in there, please thank your elected officials, because the chances are across the board, they have supported this issue in one way or the other. And we want them to continue to do so. So I just wanted to say that.
Wow, right. Thank you, Rose. On that note, thank you, everyone, for joining TAASA Talks today. We will be back with a new TAASA Talks. I'm not going to put a date on it, but you'll see it.
Soon.
We'll see y'all at Capitol Day.
Bye-bye.